So yeah, this morning the wind's blowing quite strongly from our starboard side, blowing us away from the pontoon, and we've got a boat quite tight on our port side. Both boats are well fended, us and them, so shouldn't be the end of the world if we do touch, but we need to get away quite promptly to try not to touch them. So Kate will be releasing the lines. Literally the last thing she'll do is release the spring line, which I'll be leaning against, and then we'll come out smartly and hopefully we don't touch. But as I say, we're prepared if we do, so it's not the end of the world if we do, because we're all prepped up ready for it. Okay, so we've got wind blowing us off the pontoon, so we'll do the normal thing we do where you put the pole into the loop, and that's the last thing to come off the spring, because I'll be driving forward against the spring line. And then we will use the fender step as a roving fender. So as soon as you've unhooked the spring line, then get over to the other side, particularly towards the bow with the roving fender, because the bow is going to try and go that way into that boat quite quickly. Bow line whenever you're ready.
Bow line's gone. There?
Yeah.
Spin's gone. I'm on.
So as soon as that's free, over to the other side with the fender, we're not going to need to rush panning.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, come in.
Yeah. Go.
This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
So we slipped the lines from a breezy Juarez marina bound for an anchorage on the River Sardo, near a town called Setubal. So it made it out of the marina reasonably. It was quite tight on that portside boat. It always is when it's blowing from the starboard side like that. Basically is worst case scenario, and you just got to get out quick or be prepared to rub along with fenders carefully. But then you've always got to watch as your anchor swings across at the end, so it's best to get out quick, but then you've got to stop quick before you get to the other side. I've always preferred to do things slowly, but sometimes you just got to go quick. Anyway, we're out. We've got just the mainsail up. Got about 415 knots right behind us at the moment of wind, and we're doing 4.5 knots. We've only got 19 minutes to the next waypoint, which will be a jibe, so I'm not going to put the headsail out yet. And once we've gone round that next waypoint, if the wind's in the right place, then we'll put the headsail out too and scoot on over towards the coast. We're going to stay close in because there's been Orca activity in this area with people's rudders getting nibbled, so we want to avoid that as much as possible. So, look at the waves on that fort.
Yeah.
So it's not very rough wave-wise. It's there's quite a swell, and they're breaking all over the little fort in the distance.
Your long-held dream to be sailing in your shorts and t-shirt. Oh, we are.
Yes, we are. Ready?
Yeah. We're sailing at over 5 knots, so it can't last. We're not motoring, we're not rolling, we're sailing.
Unbelievable.
5.6
knots! 6.1! Oh my god! We haven't sailed for a while, it's just all been motor, as you will see. So yeah, it's amazing to actually be sailing. We have got to turn more downwind once we reach the next waypoint, because we're sailing across to the coast to stick quite close to it due to those black and white dolphin fellows who like to nibble on rudders. But right now we are sailing. So this is Cabo Especial, or Cape Especial, probably pronouncing it wrong. But it's picking up the sea a little bit as we come around the cape. There's some quite big rollers out here. We're still sailing sort of downwind, but with the wind over our starboard side. But we've got a bit of a roll on. And some quite big waves, but it's still quite nice. Just going nicely. Just getting ourselves a little bit south of the cape so that we can jibe across the wind and have a reasonable tack in the direction we want to go without having to roll downwind quite so much. So going a bit further than we actually needed to get a nice sail, which seems a bit keen for me, but you know, it's what we're doing. So if you can press steer to nav when you're ready.
Okay, ready, steer to nav. Along for route?
Yeah, okay, so direct from here.
Okay. And what do you need me to do?
Well, in a minute, release that and pull in this.
Okay, I'll wait till you say release and then...
And then I'm doing the main, so here comes the main. Okay, so release. And I'll need a winch. We had used the autopilot to initiate the jibe onto the new course, but caution is required when doing this, just to make sure that the autopilot takes you where you think it's taking you. That was all a little dramatic. She seemed to go round a bit further than I expected. But she's settling on her route now. So we're just rounding the cape. We had some quite big waves off the cape there, and it's still rolling a little bit now. You can probably see in the background. Hopefully once we round the cape, the sea will flatten right down because it'll be sheltered from this wind and swell. With a bit of luck, there'll still be some wind. Hopefully the ideal scenario is the sea flattens down but the wind stays at the strength it's at, and then we'll be flying along nicely. But wait to see what happens once we get properly in the shelter of the cape.
As hoped, when we came around the corner, there's still wind. We've got 15 knots, and it's on a broad reach, sometimes a beam reach, and yeah, the seas are flattened down massively. So very nice sailing.
So we had a pretty good run, but now the wind is dying right off. I think we've got some more headlands here, and that's causing the wind to get sheltered. Still all right at the moment. 4.5 will get us there in reasonable time. But yeah, but we had a good run. We were doing 6.5, 7 knots at times. It's actually nice to just sail for a bit. Kate is fishing. We did have the engine on, but we decided to just bob along about 3.5, 4 knots with the wind that was left. Well, that was plenty of speed because we made some time up. So got the fishing line out for the first time for a long time. We've been too much of a rush to get places before, but because we made up a bit of time sailing along nice and fast, then we got time to go slow, although it's kind of dropped to 2 knots now, so we might have to put the engine on again just to boost it up to 3.5 so we do get there sometime today. But it's the shadow from these hills, I think, because it's still windy over there on the surface of the water, but behind these hills it's lovely and warm, hence the excess of ginger furry chest. Sorry about that, but you know, got to live with it. Nice and warm, but not much wind at the moment. But we've had a good run. And the sea is blue, and it's flat, and it's warm. It's a standard Kate catch. A girt ball of seaweed. Hey, dinner! Okay. So this is the entrance to the River Sardo, I think it is. Heading up to town is Setubal, and we're going into a bay just before that. Hopefully it's going to be a nice anchorage, and we've got a forecast 27 degrees for the next few days. Let's hope it lives up to it. So it'll be very nice. Apparently it's a really nice beach, clear water. You know, I know we're setting ourselves up for a disappointment here, but fingers crossed, it'll actually be really nice. The spot we anchored was very pleasant, but the winds were quite strong for a couple of days, preventing any serious dinghy exploring. I was about to film the area on day 3 when our plans changed, so I'm embarrassed to say I have very little footage. So sunrise over the Sardo River, Rio Sardo. I had hoped to be giving you a little tour of the beach and everything this morning, and taking you snorkeling and swimming, and maybe going out to investigate the big sandbar down at the entrance. But Kate, who's much more switched on with the weather than I am, has identified that if we don't leave today we might be stuck here for a while. So 7:30 in the morning, we're just getting ready, we're going to head on. So we did have a day or two here, but I thought I'd leave the filming till the 3rd or 4th day, because I thought we'd be here for a little while. And you know, it is for saying plans change, and so it was quite a nice little spot. But also quite happy to get moving on down to the Algarve, where it's supposed to be even warmer. So got some good weather, decent wind forecast today, so we'll get on down the coast. So yeah, that's the River Sardo. Sardo, I'm sure it's pronounced. Ahead of us is a great big sandbar, which is cut off from everything. Would have loved to have got the dinghy across there, but say you can't do everything. If the weather says go, then we go. How's the sailing this morning?
Very nice. Pretty flat seas. We've got 12 to 13 knots on the beam, and we're doing 6.5 knots.
6.5?
Yeah. 6.6 even. So very nice. I was expecting, well, we're going downwind later, I was expecting bigger seas, more wind, so nice.
This sail from Setubal to Sines turned out to be our best ever sailing day on the Portuguese coast.
There you go.
Thank you. So turned on to the next course. We are wing on wing at the moment. The main is out on the port side and the Genoa out on the starboard. Genoa is sort of almost settled, but I think it's going to need the pole because it's flapping around a bit, but I hope it can just hold its horses until I finish my coffee, and then I'll go and put the pole up or something. And there you go, trusty old poled out Genoa. We just timed the process. It took us 13 minutes to put the pole up, and there was a bit of faff in that because we couldn't remember where we needed to feed the sheet. So that's not bad really. I can live with that. But now we're doing nearly 6 knots. We've got about 15 knots right behind us. One sail out starboard side to the Genoa on the pole, one side sail out port. Sea is flat, just a gentle roll, and yeah, it doesn't get an awful lot better than that, just gently downwind. Very nice. Enjoying it?
Yeah. Yeah, awesome day sail so far.
So this beach that we're sailing past over on the port side there, that beach basically runs from where we were in Setubal down to Signs, however you say that, Sines. So it's about a 30-mile beach, and it's unbroken. It's just sand all the way along. Not sure I've ever seen a beach quite that long, but it is 30-mile beach. The wind switched back to our starboard side for the last leg of this fabulous sail. It was the kind of sail that it's sad when it ends. We made our way into Sines just for an overnight stop.
After a long and quite good fun day sailing, well, not that long actually, we left at 8:30 this morning, it's now 3:30. We're arriving in Signs, well, that's S-I-N-E-S, I don't think that's how it's pronounced, but we'll check. So yeah, probably maybe only here for one night, but it's a fishing place and quite a big industry place.
And also to the end of this episode. Join us next time to find out why we nicknamed the final cape as Cape Fear. Thanks for watching.